Thank you for joining me for another episode of YQG in Bloom. My name is Tracy Martins, and today I'm so excited to sit down with my next guest and talk about an upcoming project that he wrote and directed. And at the end of this TV series, you might have a chance of winning $100,000. I gotta look at this. He is a film director, a screenwriter, editor, producer, and music video director, Gavin Michael Booth. Hi.
Hello.
It's so nice to see you.
Yeah, good to be here.
And I forgot he is also an actor because he was in
Vampire
Zombies from Space. Oh my God, I love that show.
That movie turned out phenomenal. I mean, they're just all friends of mine, so it was sort of a, hey, can you come in and cameo tomorrow, be clean shaven, and that was sort of the details. I didn't know what I was signing up for, but
they're such good kids.
Yeah. It was so much fun. And seeing the premiere, like everybody should see Vampire Zombies from Space whenever it's publicly available.
It was so good, and yeah, they blew me away.
I'm seeing it at a festival in Wisconsin that I happen to be at coming up too, so I can't wait to see it again.
And then it's in Toronto at the Canadian Film Fest.
I didn't know that got announced. It
was on Facebook today.
Yeah, that's a really, really good festival. I'm super happy they're there. Yeah.
Well, they're amazing, and so are you. You have your hand in a little bit of everything. Do you have a favorite part of behind the screens?
Writing.
Writing?
Right. That's all I wanted to do was be a screenwriter. Mm-hmm. But starting my career 20 years ago in Windsor, there wasn't Facebook. There wasn't even MySpace. You couldn't just post somewhere and say, hey, anyone else in Windsor want to make movies? So I just sort of learned. I had been doing videography in high school and editing little silly short films with my neighbors and things like that. But it was I always wanted to be a creative writer, and then fell in love with screenwriting. But I just learned everything else out of the necessity of, like, if I'm going to see any of these scripts turned into anything, I guess I'll do it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Partly not understanding, like, I could just find other people to do the other roles, But then kind of fell in love with all of that, But writing and editing, I think, are probably my favorites, because when you're writing, there's no wrong answer, right answer. You have creative freedom. You don't have to worry about budget or schedule or time. And is somebody going to like this enough to fund it? And then once you get through production, which is always a slog, and that's where everything can go wrong, and you've got to compromise constantly and try to compromise in a way that doesn't ruin the creative integrity of what you're doing. And then when you get to editing, you're like, okay, well, these are now the building blocks that I'm stuck with. So now I have to figure out how to have freedom again to reinvent. And I often find that my projects, once they come out of editing, have shifted quite a bit from how they were originally stated in the script, what was shot on set, and just finding a new layer or a new life to them through just constantly rearranging.
It is fascinating what I've learned, like even watching my husband edit a 3-camera podcast, and it's like, there's no way in hell I could do it, because I really do have OCD, and it is so bad that it would take me days to do one little thing, so I leave it to him.
The trick is to have deadlines, because we have a new trailer premiering in a couple days, and today I'm still sending out just little 5-second clips of people being like, hey, I'm thinking about this sound effect instead of this one and this one, and just like, I will just keep tweaking the thing until somebody rips it from my hand. So deadlines are key, or I would never finish anything.
Like I said, learning little things, even watching some practices of behind the scenes for the play The Price of Freedom, and I just took a workshop on screenwriting, and it's like,
subtext. You gotta have subtext. Yeah. Unless you're a Hallmark movie, then you have zero subtext.
Oh, I love the Hallmark movies. The cheese. Hey.
My wife acts in them. I can't complain. Yeah.
She does? I didn't know that.
One or two of them, yeah.
Wow.
More Lifetime. She's usually more the dark, mysterious characters.
Yeah. She's on a lot of stuff as well.
She's had a good couple years.
Yes, she has. And in case you're wondering, we're talking about Sarah Booth, and I have yet to meet her, but I do love her stuff. I saw her in a couple of the TV shows that she's been on.
I mean, she's done stuff for Netflix and Prime and CBC and Fox. And
so you two are busy.
She's on a new show next week called Doc. It's a new medical show on Fox. She's the guest star next week.
Wow. So do you guys ever see each other?
Yeah, it's because the myth is a busy actor or a busy filmmaker is just constantly busy. It's like, no, there can be very long, slow periods like
And do you enjoy
between
them?
those. Oh no, but at least I can always be editing something else or writing the next thing. You can use your time wisely.
I hear you, because I'm the type that I don't like sitting, because if I sit down, then I feel guilty. I should be doing something else.
Definitely.
So I was looking again on your IMDb, which you have done a ton of stuff, and you seem to resonate toward the thriller horror type genre.
Yeah, it's probably 50% of what I do.
Yeah. Now, what makes that different from, like, is it harder to edit and direct and write?
Typically easier to find funding for. Like, horror and thriller are sort of a proven genre that don't always need massive star power behind it to make it happen. I don't think that any one genre is particularly more difficult to edit than any other. Difficulty in horror, sometimes the practical effects can take a long time, and just properly allowing budget and prep time and everything to make that happen. But I can't think of any standout example. We did a project for Blumhouse that was the world's first live movie, something that nobody else had ever done before. So that was nerve-wracking in terms of when we start the production and the world's watching, there is zero going back. There's no room to stop or start. And if a camera stops working or a battery dies or if something happens, we're really boned,
Oh gosh. Way too.
It's like theater without any scene changes or intermissions. Yeah.
Oh, nerves, gray hair for sure.
Yeah, our film Last Call. I always joke that because we did that movie in a true single take. So when we yelled action, there's no cuts until the end of the movie, and that I had zero gray hairs before we started that movie, and it's just it's funny too because some will hide cuts and some do it true. We did the true version, but now it's funny because most people are going to watch it on a platform like Tubi that inserts commercials. So we're like, why did we go through all of that if there's just going to be commercial breaks anyways? But c'est la vie.
Yeah, it is what it is. Now, do you still do music videos?
I do, not as much as I would like to. Mostly just kind of for friends or artists that I've been collaborating with for a long time. Just recently released 2 for Billy Rafool, Leamington native and now international superstar. And we have a third one coming up together. And there's a band, late 90s rock band, Third Eye Blind, that I've worked on and off with them for years. And I'm sure there'll be more videos in the future. And I shot one at Scarehouse recently. Yeah, I was a big fan of theirs before I started working with them. And that's been kind of a huge joy to just over 20 years do so many, kind of just popping out. Their guitarist, Chris Reed, is also a brilliant filmmaker and animator, so he's also able to create a lot of the content for the band. So to even still have a seat at the table or get invited is super fun.
That sounds it. Now, is all your work in the Windsor, Essex County area, or do you travel all over?
Yeah, kind of all over. I've always tried to bring projects back here. I lived in Toronto for a couple of years, lived full-time in Los Angeles for 6 or 7 years, and back and forth between Windsor and Los Angeles pretty much even every year right now. But even finding work in Los Angeles, I try to bring it back here when possible, because I just know how to stretch a dollar a bit better here.
Yeah.
It's just the regulations, and there's not really film permits here and things. It's much easier to kind of, and any city that you grew up in is a lot more oh, I know exactly who to call. We need a tractor. Got it. I'll have that tomorrow. We need a winery. Got it. We'll be there this afternoon. Other cities that you don't know people, that's just more difficult unless you have a local producer or a location scout doing that. Dreamcrusher, the TV series coming out soon, we shot the majority of it in Worcester, Massachusetts, and a few days in Los Angeles because we had an original song written for the movie, and the producer that was recording the song, and it's our actress that sings the song. So Brittany was going to sing it in LA. I was like, well, we got to go to LA to film that and work it into the show somehow. So you just kind of go where the work is. Or if I wrote something that took place in the desert, not doing that in Windsor,
For sure. So let's talk about this TV series and Dreamcrusher, but it's actually called Reward?
Yeah, so if you think Reward is sort of the brand title of the series, if you think of an American Horror Story where every season they had a different. There's Hotel, and there's My Roanoke Nightmare, and there's the, I forget what the witches will coven. There's the subtitle because it's an anthology series. The intention of Reward is that season 2 will be a standalone story from season 1, so it'll have a different title. Season 3 will have a different title, different cast, and everything. But Reward is the simple, easy to remember brand name.
Now, this is on a new streaming platform that's just starting?
Which is called Reveal, which is Reveel. It's been around for about 3 or 4 years. They're doing a really great job of curating independent film, web series, documentaries. They're sort of like on their path to becoming the independent version of Netflix, where indie filmmakers can thrive. And this is their first original narrative series. So this is their big push into trying to engage audiences in a new way and just say, hey, world, we're here. You should be part of what we're doing.
Now, how do you win the money in Dreamcrusher?
So the idea is in Dreamcrusher, it's about a pop star that's been murdered, and you're trying at home. The show is mildly interactive. You could just sit and passively watch the 7 episodes and enjoy it as a regular series. But what's the most interesting to me about the Reward concept that the exec producer, William Chevry, had is to make it partially interactive, meaning that at home, as a viewer, there are clues hidden inside of every episode. And there's a bit of an online, real-world scavenger hunt where we give you the hints and you have to go out and find, maybe there's a clue buried over here on Reddit. Maybe there's something here in the real world. Maybe there's a social media post you're supposed to be paying attention to, and that will help you solve the case. So you could maybe do it if you're really keen on murder mysteries just by watching the show, but we're giving people this advantage to have more. And it's sort of like a cross-platform storytelling. Again, you can watch the series and not miss anything, but you're going to get a lot more enjoyment out of the characters and the world that we've built by doing the interactive portion. And then there's an app and a website that you sign up as a detective. It's rewardseries.tv. People can sign up right up until episode 6 is airing, so the second last episode. You can catch up all the way to there. But the idea is you go in and you enter your answers each week, and it just kind of keeps tallying a score behind the scenes. And at the end of it, you have to correctly, like Clue, you gotta guess who, what, when, where, why kind of thing. But then you also, it's based on the amount of points of how well you played the detective, hunt online and prove that you were the best detective.
Oh, that sounds like a lot of fun.
It's been a lot of fun to develop.
Because nothing worse than I'm the type that I always usually figure it out. So this is going to be something that you're not going to be able to figure out the first.
Let's hope I've written something that's not obvious from the get-go. But I think we've got enough twists and turns along the way.
How long did it take you to write?
Not overly long, at least in terms of outlining the idea. I'll just sort of use every second I'm given until it's time. We ended up pushing back production from our original date just with typical headaches and things that happen all the time. But so in there I'm still writing, I'm still tweaking, and even in editing, there's still some things where I'm like, oh, it'd be really great if I had this like voicemail from this actor. So I'm just gonna get the actor to record it at home and send it in. So I'm still kind of like writing in the edit process.
Oh my goodness.
Again, until they tear it out of my hands, it will.
Now, how many have you filmed so far? How many episodes?
We shot, basically all that we have left is a little bit of pickups, which is just a day or two of little scenes that we always knew we were going to shoot later. We just wanted to get the bones of the series edited and then decide for sure if we need these elements before we spend money and time making them, and just to make sure that when we do them, they're going to, because the interactive nature of it, there's more stuff we have to film that goes outside of the series as well. So it's a little more complicated than a normal shoot, but it's 95% shot, 90% shot. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. And how many episodes will it be?
7 episodes total.
7. And I know I saw you on the Dan McDonald show that there's a second season already.
That's the plan. Yeah, there's big plans. Like Reward is Reveal and Reward are going to keep pushing forward. So I've signed on to do more, and we're looking at shooting them in Windsor. So I'm sort of the showrunner of it. So whether I continue writing and directing every season, or just serve as sort of story consultant and managing producer for it, I have that option as well. But I think we've cooked up a pretty good thing for season 2.
Oh yeah. Any hints?
That would make you have an advantage to the you and your audience would be that much closer to the prize, right?
Oh no, I'm not asking for any of the prizes, but I know it's going to be in Windsor.
The plan is to
Hopefully.
shoot season 2 entirely in Windsor, which is
That
super
would be
exciting.
nice.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see that. That'll be fun.
Yeah, we'll have you out for a set visit, or maybe you'll have a cameo in there somewhere. So yeah.
Now you have a lot of other shows that are coming out soon as well. You're always on the go. Holy cow.
It's the only way to do it, because otherwise you end up with these years-long gap in between projects, and this is my full-time sort of life and career, so I have to keep swinging from one vine to the next. But I have a film that I directed called Sydney versus Sean that'll be out, sometime in the nearest future, and is I call it an unromantic comedy. I think, I don't know if that's a term that other people have, but it's really a dramedy about two people that are getting together to sign their divorce papers after a year of separation, and the notary is late showing to be there to be the witness and sign off on it. So the couple falls into kind of all their old trappings and arguments. And the script that Ryan Powers wrote, he's the lead actor in it and the writer, it sort of seamlessly weaves between the past and present, has this unique structure that brings the audience kind of up to speed as to what dissolved in this relationship and how it all happened, and has a lot of interesting twists and turns that I don't think people will see coming. So it sort of bucks convention a little bit in terms of that. But it stars Janelle Parrish, that if you're a Pretty Little Liars fan, she was Mona on the series, and T.R. Knight, who's, he's on Flight Attendant right now, but probably is forever remembered as George O'Malley on Grey's Anatomy in the early cast days.
Yep.
And then Ryan, who writes it and stars in it, has had great roles on She-Hulk and The Mandalorian and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. And
all my favorites.
It's always kind of working his way out there. So, very, very small cast and crew, but something that we shot in Los Angeles about a year ago, and are at the very, very, very final stages of finishing that one off.
It seems to take a while between a shoot and when it finally gets released.
You want a little bit of breathing room so that you can just make an edit. Everybody gets to watch it and absorb it, have notes and conversations about ways to kind of keep changing it. But in the indie world, it comes down to, it's the time quality. Do you want it good, fast, and cheap? You can only choose 2 of those. Mm-hmm. So you usually want it good and cheap, so it's not going to be fast. And that's just part of the indie process if you don't have the same budget that a Netflix has to just keep throwing money at something until it's done.
Now, do you prefer working in indie stuff where it gives you a little bit more
freedom?
Yeah.
Creative control. Creative control can have a really bad connotation of I'm a megalomaniac and I'm gonna micromanage this thing and not take anyone's input. But creative control to me is just important, that it doesn't just come down to somebody's stupid or impulsive decision to we're going to change the ending on this because one person said that they don't like it. I've had entire music videos that have been scrapped by the record label because 1 or 2 people were like, well, I don't like this one thing in it. And they panic and go, huh. And then the world never gets to see all of those actors and hair and makeup and camera team and director that put so much time into doing it. So I guard it a little bit more safely there, but I also believe in my creative instincts that I would never do something against the interest of the film. Mm-hmm. And you see some films where they could have cut half an hour out of this easily. Maybe they should have had a little less creative control, but to me it's more just about being able to protect that and have the freedom to explore in the edit, where I go I think if this scene came before this scene, or we cut this line off here, it's gonna have so much more of an emotional impact, and not have to necessarily have somebody just instantly say, no, you're not doing that. That kind of, I don't know. It's such a weird thing to hire an artist to do something and then try to creatively stifle them. It's you wouldn't necessarily hire your house painter and then just keep telling them, no, not that color, not that color, not that color. It's sometimes you just, if you believe in the experts you're working with, you're gonna get something magical.
You have to have a little bit of trust.
Yeah, it goes a long way.
Smidge, yeah. Now, I noticed in Windsor, we have got a lot of really creative people that have just seemed to come out of the woodwork in the last couple of years. What would you give them as advice on how to get to maybe where you are?
Broke and still trying to make a living? Yeah.
Hey.
I'm kidding. No, I think just constant output is always advice I give younger filmmakers and actors. It's just like, even if you're not being paid to do something, volunteer on other projects. Know your worth and don't overextend favors too much, but be working, because the more you collaborate, the more those people are going to call on you for future projects, the more you're building a community. And we have a pretty good filmmaking community in Windsor right now, where a lot of people are working together, like lending gear back and forth, like hiring each other on all of their music videos. You start to see the same faces and the same crew on a lot of things. And that's really inspiring, because we didn't have that 15 years ago when I lived here full time and before that. But it's also just the technology's gotten easier, so anybody can kind of now go out and create. But I think just make stuff. Go make a short film on the weekend and put it on YouTube the next day. Don't just learn to put your stuff out there and deal with the feedback and the harsh criticism and everything. Just once you get over that, you sort of just enter a freedom zone where you're just going to keep creating, and all of that just bounces off of you. The bad criticism bounces off of you, and you just want to keep it. It's kind of like training for the gym. Like, nobody's going to go play basketball for the NBA by sitting on the couch watching basketball saying like, one day I'm going to do that. It's like, if you don't get up and go to the gym and go play basketball and train and learn and collaborate and challenge yourself, you won't get there. So the sooner you just sort of do that instead of talking about it, it'll change everything.
Great advice. And I
wish I would have listened to it when I was younger.
Don't we all? Mm-hmm. Don't we all? I appreciate you being on this show. And when is Dreamcrusher coming out?
Dreamcrusher airs episode 1 on March 18th, and then you're off to the races. It gets released every 2 weeks instead of every week. This just allows people more time to do the interactive element, and we don't want it to feel like, everybody's got work and kids and a social life. We don't want people to feel like it's homework. We want them to enjoy the process and have the time to think through their decisions and answers. So we're trying this 2-week release model. And I wish some shows would do that, because sometimes it's like, I just want it to last a little longer before I have to wait another 2 years for another season. Yeah.
I was just talking about that the other day with somebody, about how we miss back in the day when you watched something once a week and that was it. You couldn't binge it. And I kind of like binging sometimes, but it's nice to have to wait too.
Yeah, well, we have it right now. Are you watching Severance? Because that to me is the best thing on television, but it's week to week. So it's back to that, like, I call friends and we have theory meetings, and people are putting out theories on TikTok and YouTube, and Sarah and I are obsessed with it. So we're always chatting about what something meant. And like, there is a bit more of an enjoyment to that, versus sometimes I will binge 6 episodes of something and be like, and somebody goes like, remember in episode 2? I'm like, I actually don't. It's just like, I don't have the storage space to watch that much stuff and retain it all.
It's true. We watched 24. We binged 24.
That was my first binge experience, because it was DVD. And that's when binge TV started, when you could get a season on, because my friend Ryan Richardson lent me the DVDs, said, I think you would love this. And my ex at the time and I, we stayed up so late watching it that she had to call in sick to work the next day, and like I had to like call off a meeting in the morning, because we couldn't stop,
We binged it, and then probably a year or so later, like, we just got it.
Oh, wow.
No, we did finish it again, but there was a lot of parts that, like you said, you just kind of catch it. It's like, oh, I didn't catch that before, or I didn't see that, and it's nice to watch things
Rewatching
twice.
feels like a lost art form for the most place. And I was talking about this the other day. All of my favorite movies, like my top 10 movies, I don't think I've watched any of those 10 movies in probably 7 or 8 years at least, because there's so much new content, and like, working in the business especially, I'm like, I need to keep up, I need to be relevant, I need to know what's happening. And also keeping up with, blessed to have so many talented friends, so seeing episodes they directed or episodes they acted in, just trying to keep up with what's happening. And I'm like, I haven't watched Stand By Me or Ferris Bueller's Day Off or Shawshank or any of these movies in a long, long time. And like, I need to start, like, I don't know, maybe Sundays I go to movie church and I can only watch the classics, Got to get back to basics. Yep.
We just binged Happiness, and it's on Netflix, and it's a South Korean show. And it is about what they call mad human disease, and it's almost like a zombie type thing. And
not what you expect from a title that has the word happy in it.
we got into it. We watched so many episodes that you didn't even realize you were reading it. You could kind of figure out what was going on without even actually reading it because they were just amazing actresses.
One of the best lessons I learned at General Amherst High School in the communications grade 11 class, my teacher Keith Herrick at the time would make us, we watched The Princess Bride and Empire Strikes Back, but he turned the sound off. And he said a great movie should visually tell the story, and you should always know what's happening, even if you haven't heard it before. And I, at that time, somehow had not seen The Princess Bride as a kid. So I could, and I'm like, yeah, and that's a lesson that's always stuck with me, that film is a visual medium and you have to use that camera, because it's too easy now to just like, we're not shooting on film, it's not expensive. We'll get 15 different angles of this and then we'll clip it together in the edit, but it doesn't have the same flow and power and decisiveness of like this shot on this lens for this length of time for this specific dialogue moment is what the filmmaker wanted you to see, and why did they choose that frame. And and sometimes you are just at a race of time and budget where you have to shoot things a little quicker and a little more traditional, but all of the greats, you see that they had a real sense of what they were doing or trying to accomplish.
Thank you so much, Gavin.
Of course, happy to be here.
This is great, and definitely make sure to watch Dreamcrusher. And that is, I'm going to have where you can catch it in my description so that we can get hunting out, and I'm definitely going to watch it. And
let me know if you solve it. The amount of people that have asked me to like, just give me a hint and we'll split the money. I'm like, I think I'm down to like $4.50 per person. Like, it's not worth very much anymore. No,
I want to figure this one out on my own. That's half the fun.
Yeah. I listen, there is me who knows the killer is and no one else out there yet. So I've worked very hard to try to keep the integrity of this mystery alive.
Awesome. I'm going to end it on that note. And my name is Tracy Martins. Thank you for joining me for another episode of YQG and Bloom. You all have a great day.